Hello, and welcome to the Bamboo Lab podcast with your host, Peak Performance Coach Brian Bosley. Are you stuck on the hamster wheel of life, spinning and spinning, but not really moving forward? Are you ready to jump off and soar? Are you finally ready to sculpt your life? If so, you've landed in the right place. This podcast is created and broadcast just for you. All of you strivers, thrivers, and survivors out there. If you'd like to learn more about Brian and the Bamboo Lab, feel free to reach out to explore your true peak level at www.bamboolab3.com.
Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to the podcast. I'm Brian Bosley, your host. I want to start off today by just reading a heart letter we received regarding the episode with Aman Catalan. This came in from a Bamboo Pack member that just said, "This!" exclamation point. "Please listen to a true American hero by choice. I have so many questions for him after listening to this. Wow. Just wow." Thank you, Bamboo Pack member. I know you'll be listening, and I want to thank you for supporting the podcast and your continued listening each week. We had a little snafu in our schedule today, so you're going to get me doing a monologue, talking directly to you. We actually had a guest scheduled, but there was a issue with his schedule, and he'll be coming on, I believe, next week. He is Dr. Olshansky, and this guy is really something else. I can't wait for you guys to all hear his wisdom. He is an expert on aging and longevity, and I'm gonna steer you toward a National Geographic documentary from 2015. It's called "The Age of Aging," narrated by Ron Howard himself, and they feature Dr. Olshansky on there. And if you just Google his name, it's Olshansky. Dr. S.J. Olshansky. Get a little prelude to him so that when he comes on here, you understand a little more of his vision and his experience and his scientific research. All right. Today, I want to thank you guys. The numbers just came in this morning that we are now being subscribed to due to all of your support and sharing and reviews and hitting the smash button or hitting the like button. We are being subscribed to on 6 continents, I believe 59 countries, of course, all 50 states, and 1,594 cities around the world. So it just blows my mind when I think about this podcast starting off in January 3rd of 2022 with one person listening over the first couple of days, or maybe 3, I guess there wasn't. They were all family. And that is all due to you. So please continue to show your support by smashing that like button, rating and reviewing us on the multiple platforms that the podcast is broadcast on. And again, please share us with 3 people. All right. I got a question for you today, and we're going to run with this. Do you rent your life, or do you truly own your life? And I want you to think about this from both your personal world and your professional world. You know, we've talked before about the idea of happiness. And when you break happiness down into a pie chart, there are 3 separate sections, or there are 3, determinants of your success. And half of that pie chart, 50%, is determined by your genetics. You are either born with happy genes or you're not. And you can thank mom and dad and grandmas and grandpas from generations back for the genes that you have, good or bad. And you can't do anything about those. You cannot control, nor can you influence your genetics. So nothing we can do. So we have to just accept it. But then you have 10% of your happiness is determined by things that we really think about all day. How much money we make, how much money we have, the car we drive, the house we live in, our popularity, our good looks, all that social status, all that stuff. All of that combined makes up 10% of your happiness. And your health is included in there too. And I'm not saying these things are not important. They're very important. But they only make up 10% of your happiness. And you can't control those. You can merely influence those factors. I mean, all those things can be taken away in a second. Sounds depressing when 60% of our happiness is not even determined by at all what we can control in life. But in reality, there's 40% left. And if I were to say, tomorrow you're going to be 40% richer, 40% better looking, 40% healthier, you'd be really, really happy. I gotta believe you'd be pretty happy. So 40% is a big chunk. And 40% of our happiness, your happiness, you have full control over. And behavioral scientists call that 40% intentional activities. Things that we do intentionally to better ourselves. Getting up at 5 a.m. versus 7 o'clock. Going for a walk rather than watching Netflix at night. Ordering a salad rather than ordering the pizza. Drinking water versus guzzling beer. Reading rather than, playing mindlessly on Facebook. Those are all things we can control. And all of those factors, when you do those things, you become happier. You do become happier when you go for a walk rather than watch Netflix. You do become happier when you pick up a book and read it rather than scrolling on social media. And the thing is, by doing those things, those have a direct impact on that 10%. The money we make, the house we live in, the car we drive, our credibility, our health, our good looks, our attractiveness. So what we're talking about today is people who truly own their lives, they focus a great deal, if not their entire lives, on this 40%. They're constantly doing something to become a little better version of themselves every single day. Those people who rent their lives, what they're doing is focusing on that 10% constantly. They're trying to chase the wrong avenues in life, or they're focusing on that 50% they have no control over. So do you own your life or do you merely rent your life? So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to go through some avenues that we have come up with that shows kind of the different things that a person who rents their life does versus the opposite of what the person who owns their life does. And I'd like to have you give yourself a good audit. And I'll include these elements in the show notes today, so you can just scroll down and look at them, and you can give yourself a good audit and say, which one of these do I most relate to? And when you're done, look and say, overall, do I relate more to the renter or do I relate more to the owner? And then you can go back, and if you relate more to the renter in several of these categories, go back and work on those. Because one of the things I've learned in my life is that people who own their lives are far happier. They're far healthier all around, physically, emotionally, spiritually, intellectually. They're more successful, they're more confident, and they're more competent. And they're a hell of a lot more attractive to other people. Now, I'm not here to say any one person owns their entire life. I don't believe that. When I did this exercise with a client out in Spokane, Washington a couple of weeks ago, as I was walking through this exercise with them, I realized that there are many aspects of my life where I'm just a renter. And I'm working on those aspects now. And some days I'm an owner on certain aspects, and then the next day I'm a renter on that same aspect. But here's the thing I noticed, is that people really want to own their personal life, but they're okay renting their professional life. Oh, I hate my job. Ugh, my boss sucks. I wish I was doing something else. I'm just going through the motions. I just get in and get out, and I can't wait till I can retire. Dude, there is nothing more depressing than that. What do you work, 40, 50 years of your life? How the hell would you piss away 5 out of 7 days of your week for 40 or 50 years and live as a renter? And here's the thing. I firmly believe this, and I've seen this in my clients. I've seen this in my family, my friends, my colleagues, myself, is you can't rent one part of your life and own the other part. You can't. If you rent your professional life, you're also going to rent your personal life. You're going to be a renter. There's no way you can be Clark Kent at work and come home and be Superman. Because lives don't just shut off. They blend together. When you go to work and you live this kind of, I hate my job, everyone sucks here, I suck, I can't wait till 5 o'clock, I can't wait till the weekend, I can't wait till I retire. You don't think that bleeds over into your personal life? It does. And the thing is, you're far, far better than that. We all are. You deserve more than that. I remember hearing one time, a long time ago, and I thought it was just a bunch of bull, is somebody said, you know you've made it in life when you wake up on Monday mornings as excited as you do on Christmas morning. And I thought, man, there is no way in hell that's ever going to happen to me. Now, I can't say that it happens to me. Christmas morning is pretty special to me. It's my favorite day of the year. But I can tell you, I'm excited on Sunday nights for Monday to come. When I go on a vacation, I'm excited for me to come back and get back to work. I love that. It's powerful. Because and there are days that I don't want to work. There are moments of my day during Monday through Friday where I'm pissing and moaning and complaining. There are. But overall, that is the goal of life, is to get to the point where you're excited to be back to work. So I'm going to go back right now, and I'm not just talking about work. I'm talking about both your personal and professional. And you might want to, when I'm looking at this, I don't want you to break them down by personal and professional. I want you to just look at your life in general, because really I'm a firm believer, as I said, you're not a renter in one area and an owner in the other. Whatever you do in one area bleeds over to the other. You either are a full renter or you're a full owner, both personally and professionally. So what I'm going to do is I'm not going to get into a lot of detail on these qualities. There's probably 20, 25 qualities here. And I'll share the kind of the antithesis of an owner versus a renter, of what an owner might do versus what a renter might do. And all I want you to do is look and say, which one do I relate to most? Maybe put a spectrum between the two dichotomies and say, I slide more toward renter on this one, or I slide more toward owner on this one. Or maybe you're a full owner on one category or a full renter. I don't know. So let's just go through it. So here's the first one. Owners, people who own their lives, they manage their energy and focus. They take control of their energy and focus, which is another good word for time management. They have a solid morning routine. And I can't stress this enough. And I know a lot of people say I'm not a morning person. I'm not a morning person. You know what? It doesn't really matter, because the world doesn't work that way. And it really doesn't really matter necessarily what time you get up. It does, but the most important thing is whenever you get up, have a morning routine. Have a morning routine that lasts somewhere between 30 minutes to 2 hours, of where you do something that's good for you, intentional activity that focuses on that 40% of your happiness. Reading, exercising, prayer, journaling, gratitude, going for a walk, listening to the birds, making your bed, taking a cold shower, whatever it is. Have a structured morning routine that you can do at least 5 days a week. That morning routine sets your entire day off, and it makes an immaculate difference in the next 23 hours of your day. That's what owners do. They manage their energy. They manage their focus on a consistent basis. Where renters of life allow others to manage their energy and focus. They do. Owners focus on when they're during their time of the day, they're working on their energy and focus, trying to produce something. They're being productive. Where renters spend their time and energy and focus just on being active. And there's a vast difference between being productive and active. Active is just spinning the hamster wheel. Producing is moving forward. So that's one of the differences. So think about, which one of those do you relate to? On that sliding scale between the two, where do you put yourself? And give yourself a good, honest audit. Number 2. Owners come to the table with solutions to the problems, where renters come with just the problems. So when you go to your family, you go to your boss, you go to your spouse, you go to your friends, you go to your colleagues, whoever they might be, you can talk about problems. But do you just come with the problems, or do you come with the problem and say, I have a potential solution to this. I have a reason why this might be happening. That's number 2. Number 3, owners lead and they follow, where renters follow only. What I mean by that is all leaders also have to be good followers. We have to be. Because otherwise you can't learn to lead unless you're willing to follow someone else. And putting yourself in a following role, an apprentice role, rather than the master role, putting yourself in the apprentice role at times, gives you the ability to understand what people who follow you go through. So an owner will truly be a good follower and also a good leader. They focus on role modeling for others. Where renters just kind of follow. They think they're leading, but they're really following. And the best, probably the most obvious way I see people following others is because they bitch a lot about others. They bitch about their boss. They bitch about their friends. They bitch about their family. They bitch about the country. They bitch about numerous things. And when you're bitching, all you're doing is following. That's the sure sign of a follower, somebody who constantly complains. Because leaders don't complain. They just go solve the damn problems. They lead the people away from the problem. They lead the people through the problem. They solve the problem. So on the spectrum, where do you find yourself? Number 4, owners are growth-minded. They are sponges. They are students of life. They love to learn from a multitude of sources, not just books, but they just keep their eyes and ears open on a consistent basis. They love to suck up the wisdom, the nectar of life. Where renters, they're fixed-minded, man. They're like, hey, I already know everything. I don't really need to learn anymore. We see this a lot in our country today. I already know how the world works. I'm 100% sure that my political beliefs are true. I'm 100% believe or know that my religious and philosophical views are already true. I don't need to learn anything, especially from the opposition, especially from people who show or share an opposing view to me. Back in I believe it was the late 1800s, we had obviously the U.S. Patent Office. Almost closed down. This is a true story. And William McKinley was the sitting president at the time. And I forget the gentleman who ran the U.S. Patent Office. He was the head of the Patent Office. He sent a telegram to the sitting president of the United States. And the telegram read something like this: I, blankety blank, as head of the United States Patent Office, believe that we should shut the Patent Office down for good, comma, and now I quote him, because everything that can be invented has already been invented. This is the late 1800s, like 1870 something. Can you imagine the short-sightedness and narrow-mindedness of this head of the U.S. Patent Office who claimed that everything that can be invented has already been invented? What the hell, man? Look at all of the things that have been invented and created since then. The advancement in medicine, technology, transportation, business, art, science, psychology, philosophy. I mean, our world looks nothing like the world did back in the late 1800s. All of those inventions, creations, and advancements came post this telegram. But how often do we ourselves close the door to our patent offices and believe that we don't need to learn anything new? I've been doing my job for 30 years. I don't need to learn any new technology. I don't need to learn how to do this more effectively, more efficiently. I don't need to listen to the Democrat or the Republican friends of mine. I already know what I know, and what I know is reality. Oh, man. It's a sure sign of a renter. Growth-minded versus fixed-minded. The next difference is that owners come to situations prepared. They have a plan. They're proactive. They set their week. They schedule their week. They schedule their day. They look to the possible challenges they might face in that week or that day. They look at the opportunities they have. They're fully prepared. And that's why that morning routine can be so important. Maybe also have a Sunday routine of 30 minutes where you sit down and map your entire week out. Renters don't do that. Renters are extremely reactive. They come to life. They come to the day. They come to meetings. They come to dinners. They come to the day completely disheveled with no plan. And they try to wing it. Now, some people are pretty good at winging things. I know that was my strength and my weakness for years, is I could just wing things. And I realized at a certain point in life, winging it does not fit the bill anymore. And even if you're really good at of ad-libbing and winging things, when you come prepared and you can wing it from there on, from that new level, woo, you are far more efficacious, far more effective, far more dangerous at that level. So are you proactive or are you more reactive? Next one. An owner of his or her life, they see challenges as opportunities. They look at a situation, they have this stoic mindset, the philosophy of stoicism, that the obstacle is the way. The things that happen to us that we think are bad create an avenue or an opportunity for something far better than we had before the obstacle occurred. I'm going to recommend two amazing books, both by Ryan Holiday. The first one is The Obstacle is the Way. One of my top 5 most impactful books of my life. The second one is The Daily Stoic. So it's his book. It's a daily affirmations book or a daily lessons book that gives you something to go with every morning. During your morning routine, you read this, and it gives you some a thought process on how do you overcome the obstacles that you will face today. So owners see life and the challenges that we face as opportunities, where renters see these obstacles as just roadblocks. Oh, woe is me. Nobody loves me. Fucking Eeyore, man. Look at Pooh, look at Piglet, man. Those people, they are stoics in the sense that they believe that they can always accomplish something. Life is always good, and no matter what happens, it's always going to be good. We're going to get through this. Where Eeyore, every little thing he faces is disastrous and tragic. Oh, no. Which one are you? Because I'll tell you, man, that looking at life and those obstacles that we face and saying, okay, where is the silver lining in this cloud? That builds a strength. Because when you did that over and over, then you get stronger and stronger in that mind muscle. And all of a sudden you start seeing obstacles not for what you traditionally, originally saw them as. You now see them as an opportunity to become a better person. To prove your worth. To sharpen your saw. To strengthen your muscles. Or do you look at obstacles and say, oh, I knew I shouldn't have done this. I knew this was going to happen. This always happens to me. This isn't fair. Life's so unfair. This doesn't happen to anybody else. And then you turn around and retreat and go back. Do you see obstacles as opportunities or roadblocks? Next one. Owners take risks in life, but they take calculated risks. Where renters take either very, very little risks in life, or they take extremely dangerous risks. And primarily why they take no risk is because they don't have confidence. They have a fear of failure, which is either fear of rejection, fear of embarrassment, or fear of losing something that they have. Or they take dangerous risks. Why do they do that? Because they don't like themselves. They don't truly love themselves. So they're trying to take these crazy, dangerous risks on a consistent basis because it's a form of self-sabotage, a form of self-punishment. So what's the difference? And I always used to tell Dawson when he was younger, because Dawson is one of those kids, he's not a kid anymore, he's a full-grown man, but when he was a young kid, Dawson didn't have a lot of fear. So Dawson is my son, for those who don't know. He didn't have a lot of fear, man. He would pull the trampoline up to the garage, climb up on the garage, and do a backflip and land in the trampoline off the garage. And I've got a picture of him in midair as I walked out, and he was getting ready to jump. And I happened, before I yelled, I took a picture, and he was upside down in the air. You know, he used to, in the wintertime, ski off the garage. I mean, climb up the tree 50 feet in the air when he was really little. So I always had a talk with him, and I think it's sunk in. And I think there's a difference between doing crazy stuff and doing stupid stuff. And that's the crazy is taking calculated risks. Stupid is taking dangerous risks. So think of it this way. Cage diving with great white sharks, that's crazy. It's a calculated risk, but what an adrenaline rush. But now, swimming outside the cage, opening the door to the cage and swimming around with the great white sharks, that's a dangerous risk. That's a stupid risk. So think about that. In your life, do you take calculated risks, or do you completely avoid risks? Or when you do take risks, do you take dangerous risks? Where are you on that spectrum? Next one. In the game of life, owners they play to win. They play to win. They're not here to just go through the motions. They're not here to waste time, waste their energy. They come to win in everything they do. And I'm not talking about simply competing against other people. That's a small fraction of it. It's competing against themselves. When they start that new health routine, they play it to win. When they take that new class or course, they play it to win. When they start that new job, they play it to win. When they get in that new relationship, they play it to win. Where renters, they play the game of life not to lose. They don't necessarily play it to lose, but they play it so safe, they play it not to lose. The hamster wheel. They spin. They go into that new relationship saying, I'm just going to make sure I do everything I can not to lose her or him. They go to that new job. I'm going to do everything I can not to lose this source of income. There's a vast difference in those two mindsets. And the thing is, when you play the game to win, you wake up energetic because you have a mission, a goal, a quest every day. When you play the game not to lose, every day looks the same. Because when you play to win, you grow every day. So the world is a little bit better for you every day. When you play not to lose, the world doesn't change. You stay cozily and comfortably in that little comfort zone. And that little comfort zone never gets the opportunity to grow and expand. Next one. Owners live for all 7 days of the week. We talked about this earlier. Getting up on Monday mornings to be excited to go back to work. Getting done on Friday, getting excited for the weekend. Getting up on Wednesday, getting excited for the day, both at work and at home. They live for all 7 days. Renters, not so much. Renters live for the weekend. Renters live for the vacation. And I'm going to tell you, when you are around a person who lives that way, it drains you if you're an owner. Owners and renters have a real difficult time getting along. Now, renters don't mind owners because owners give renters some passion. They give them a little bit of hope, a little bit of faith. They give them a little energy. But owners struggle with renters because they drain their passions. They drain the owner's energy if the owner lets them. It goes back to a topic we did back in early 2022 on the concept of food and poison. You don't see people who own their lives becoming toxic or poisonous people. They stay nourishing food-style people. But renters, they may not be toxic, but they are the ones who, if anybody's going to become toxic, it's going to come from the pool of renters, not from the pool of owners. We got to live for all 7 days. I don't know what 5 divided by 7 is, but it's a big chunk of time. 80%, I don't know. I'm not going to piss away 80% of my life because I only live for the weekends. Now, yeah, weekends are great. We all get excited for weekends. But we can't get excited for weekends at the cost of the other 5 days of the week. Yeah, you might like weekends more, but you have to find a way to live passionately in the other 5 days as well. To find the opportunities and those obstacles in your job. Find the parts of your job that you do truly like. Find a way to make your job something that challenges you enough to become a better person every day, even if you deep down don't like that particular job. There are good things about it. Or better yet, get another job. As we sit here today in June of 2023, there are a lot of job opportunities out there. And if there aren't, create one. Start a side hustle. Do something that makes you passionate and see if you can make money on that on the side. And if you can, if it starts to work, Boo, do it full time. But even in your job, there are things that you do that you can find that you love, even if you innately hate your job. There are parts of your job that you do like. Find a way to let them challenge you to become a better person. Next one. Owners are interdependent. Now, you notice I didn't say independent. Independence has been a word that I think has been grossly misused, and especially in the business world. There is no truly independent person. I mean, I am completely dependent upon you guys out there in the Bamboo Pack and the listeners and the guests we have on. I'm completely dependent on the person who created the Apple computer I have in front of me, the receiving system I have, the soundproofing system I have, the microphone, the pop screen I have in front of the microphone. I'm completely dependent on the person who made this coffee mug and the coffee that's in it. We're all dependent. But if you think about it in that sense, it's really interdependence. We depend on each other. I do for you, you do for me. Free market capitalism, laissez-faire capitalism. Where renters are completely dependent. They are completely dependent on other people to feel good about themselves. They are dependent upon the attitudes, opinions, and viewpoints of others. They are dependent upon the news sources that are on the television or on social media to tell them what to think, what to feel, what to believe. They're parasitic. Where the owners work together in a cooperative environment with other people to supply goods and services, where they receive goods and services, wisdom, they share experiences, they share love, they share kindness. That's an owner. Interdependency, where renters are just parasites. They need a source, another person or a source, or a certain feeling or experience before they can feel good about themselves. Next one. Owners look for ways to help others. They do. They go to work, they live in life looking for ways to help other people. They know that our job in society, our primary job for almost everybody, to hell with it, for every person, is to help increase the sense of self-worth of the people around you. Make other people feel good, feel better, become a better person. You help yourself as much, and you help the world. Random acts of kindness. I'm reading a book right now, and I'll give a shout out to the University of Detroit Jesuit High School and Academy for giving me several copies of the book Holy Moments by Matthew Kelly. Short book, but I'm reading it now and I'm loving it. And I have 2 copies. Actually, if anybody wants, I have 2 copies left to give away. So anybody who reaches out first and asks for a copy will get it. But after the 2 run out, I'm sorry, I only have 2 left. I've given several away so far. But it talks about holy moments in life. And a holy moment is really a random act of kindness. And we have an opportunity. Every moment can be holy or unholy, dependent upon what we do. And it's going into the gas station. I was going over to Lansing, Michigan yesterday to meet with a client of mine for the day. And I stopped in this gas station. I went inside, and the lady, I've been in there several times, and she's always in a bad mood. And I started thinking, why is she always in a bad mood? And I thought, it's morning time. People are coming here. They're going to work. They're not happy. They're paying $4 a gallon for gas. They're coming in getting, whatever they get, coffee in the morning. They're just not in a great mood. So of course that feeds on her. So I thought, all right, I couldn't read her name tag. It was upside down or it was backwards. So I couldn't read it. So I thought, well, I'm just going to see if I can make her smile. And she was getting up to get a pack of cigarettes for somebody. And she had to get up on this little footstool. It was milk crate. And I said, when she came over, I said, they need to give you a step ladder, or they need to put those cigarettes a little lower because you're a pretty short person. She goes, I know, it's been like that way for the last 6 months. And everybody likes those cigarettes up there, but they don't want to put them on the bottom. I said, well, how's your day going overall anyway? She said, it's not too bad today. I said, well, the sun's shining. What time do you get off? I get off at 3:00. I said, well, great, man. I said, well, I hope you have an incredible day. I said, I hope people go start buying the cigarettes on the lower shelf for the rest of your day. And I hope the sun's still shining when you get up at 3:00. And she looked at me. She goes, oh, man, thank you so much. I hope you have a wonderful day, sir. And when I walked out, she was smiling. Now that costs no money. It costs no time. It costs almost zero energy. And you can help change a person's life that way. Random acts of kindness. We did an episode a few weeks ago on I think it's called the 50 Rack or the Rack 50 Challenge. We're asking you to practice 50 random acts of kindness every year. You know what? And that's not even a big number. We should be doing one a day or at least 4 to 5 a week. That's how we change the world. And that's what owners see life as, increasing the sense of self-worth of other people. Where renters, they are so self-centered. They're not selfish, because if you're truly selfish, you would help other people because it helps you. But they're very self-centered, very insecure. They only do their basic job in life, whether it's at their actual work or at home or wherever they are in society. They do the bare minimum. Nobody's benefited from that. Nobody's lives are changed. And I'm not saying being nice to somebody at a gas station is going to change their life in some, dramatic, extravagant, exponential manner, but it does a little movement. It moves the needle a little bit. And if we can do that enough with enough people, we can take all those micro needles and we can eventually start turning the big needle of life from negative to positive. So where do you fit in that spectrum? Next one, owners, man. Owners are extremely visionary people. They have goals. They focus on their true peak identity, which is it was a podcast we did several months ago called True Peak Identity. They love to look into the future. They like to plan who they want to become. They want to look at what's the best version of themselves and how do I get there every day? How do I go move that needle a little bit closer? How do I get a little closer to that bullseye? They focus on that 40%, those intentional activities that make them better people. Well, renters are very, very short-sighted. Because when you look at that one, owners look at things and they see the long-term and not so obvious impacts of the things they do. When you get up in the morning and you start a 10 or 15 minute morning routine, it doesn't have an instant impact on you. No obvious impact. But there's a long-term, not so obvious impact of everything you do to become a better person, yourself and to help others. Owners see that. They have the patience to realize, I know if I go start walking tomorrow, if I start my exercise program tomorrow, if I start showing more love to my spouse tomorrow, spending a little more time with my children, eating better tomorrow, put a little more effort into my work, if I start practicing one random act of kindness every week, they understand they're not going to see an amazing impact right away. But they know there's a long-term, not so obvious benefit to that. Well, renters are very short-sighted. They only see the short-term and obvious. Well, I don't want to get up and go for a walk tomorrow because I won't be able to sleep in. And I might be sore the next day. Well, I don't really want to start my new eating habits, my healthy eating routine tomorrow because I like getting up and having my cigarette and Lucky Charms every morning. I like my bacon every day. I don't want to show more love to my spouse because I might get rejected and she doesn't deserve it anyway. Or he wouldn't do that to me. Or I'm not going to say hello to that person and make that person in the gas station feel happy. They're not very nice to me. Where are you on that spectrum? Owner or renter? Next one, 2 more. Owners do a lot of self-reflection. And the best way to do this is journaling. Maybe meditation, talking with a trusted family member, friend, colleague, pastor, psychologist, therapist. A lot of self-reflection. They're okay digging in to the darkest aspects of their soul. It's crazy, and I've shared this before, maybe not on the podcast, but with clients. I've been journaling every day now for about a year and a half. I journal 6 days a week. I don't journal every day. But I just start writing, and all of a sudden things come out that surprise the hell out of me. And it's really been the last 3 to 4 weeks, maybe 5 weeks, where really deep stuff has been coming out. Answers to a lot of questions I've had for a while. And really weird things start to happen. The other day, I was actually sitting at my desk or my chair in the morning, and I was journaling. And I was writing in there saying, I don't forget the wordage, but it was something to the effect of, man, I don't know if I'm ever going to accomplish all the things I want to accomplish, this dream I have, this vision I have for my life. And I said, I don't know, because I don't really know if I know what to do. I'm stuck right now. I don't really know how to get there, what the next step is. And as I reached over at the side of my desk, I have a big stack of books there. If somebody gives me a book, I sit it there, and sometimes I get to reading them, sometimes I don't. And I went to grab my iPad, and I was done journaling, and I had just written that question, who do I turn to, or what do I do next? And I went to grab the iPad, and when I pulled it out, this book came out. And it was called the book Holy Moments by Matthew Kelly, the one I just recommended. And I never would have read this book. I never would have. It would have stuck. I would end up staying by my chair, and it would end up going in my bookshelf after a while. It would have sat there unread for the next 40 years. And I looked at it, and it said, Holy Moments, what's the next step in your life, or something like that. I forget the subtitle. I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. And I opened it up and started reading. And right there were the answers I was looking for. Right there was the direction. There was I felt like there was a someone there leading me to that question that I was pondering that morning. Within talking 5 seconds after I wrote it, weird things happen. So owners are very, very focused on self-reflection. Renters, hell no, because they're so focused on running from their demons. When you self-reflect, you got to face your demons. It isn't just about putting rosies and popsicles and unicorns and rainbows. Man, you got to get in there and find out the dirt that covers and wraps around your soul. You got to bring a sword. You got to bring weaponry. You got to bring suits of armor. Man, when you're in there doing self-reflection, you got to be ready for a battle. Renters don't want to do that. They are running so fast from their demons, so maniacally focused on avoiding everything that could possibly hurt them. When I was in college, one of my incredibly good friends, a man I still love to death, Kevin, love him to death. We'd go to this thing, pedal our bikes to a place called the Dams at Central Michigan University. And they were just dams, I guess. It's been so many years. And I remember one time we'd go out there, we'd just talk, just about life and family and rugby and school and future. And one day he looked at me and he said, Brian, you and I live a life pretty quickly, pretty fast. He said, we don't really stop much, and he said, I kind of think we live this way because we're afraid if we slow down, the stench from our past will catch up to us. I'm like, wait, holy shit. I'll never forget that. It was 30 some years ago when he said that. And that's the case. Back then, I was not at all ready to face my demons. I was not going to do any self-reflection. I was a full-on renter, man. I rented every single minute of my life. That's the case. So where are you right now in your ability to self-reflect, to journal, to discuss, to talk, to, think deeply rather than, or do you really feel like you still run from your demons? As you run, they get stronger. When you face them, they get smaller. Next one. This is a big one here. This is a big one for relationships. It's a great one because you can take everything we've already talked about so far and you can use this last one to better improve on the previous, 20 I've just shared with you. Owners understand that the one thing that keeps the human race on the right side of the zoo cage, away from and not on the wrong side where the animals are, is that we have the ability to pause. We have a stimulus, we have a pause, and we have a response. Animals really don't do that. Animals are instinctive. It's stimulus, response, stimulus, response, stimulus, response. If you're a deer hunter or any type of hunter, And you see this on a consistent basis. You have an animal coming to you or walking up to an animal. As soon as they hear a noise, smell a noise, they go. They don't think. And that saves their lives. And probably 10,000 years ago, that saved our lives in society as a human race. But today's society, we don't have a lot of those dangers. And we tend to use stimulus response, instinctive response on a consistent basis. And people talk about, I just use my instincts. She's got good instincts. Well, that was really instinctive. Well, wait a minute. How often do you really need to use your instincts? Yeah, you do sometimes. But instincts are developed because you at one time paused and learned something. We have to better reflect the pause in life. Something happens, there's going to be a response, but between that, there's got to be a pause. How do I react? How do I respond? What do I say? What's my next step? If we don't do that, all hell breaks loose. Have you ever gotten a really bad email or text, nasty, that hurt your feelings, pissed you off, bothered you, and you responded right away when a few minutes later you're like, oh, I wish I could go back and edit that. I was a little sharp, man. Oof. I had all my daggers out on that one. I probably could have toned that back down and been a great deal more effective. It's the pause. Get cut off in traffic, what do? Beep, beep, F you, finger goes up in the air. You get right behind them and you go right, you stay 2 feet from them, tailgating. I mean, we do that all the time. Pause. So where are you in that spectrum? Do you find yourself pausing between a stimulus and a response, or do you find yourself just reacting? Because when you react, what you've done is you've given that situation or that person complete control over you. When you pause, you've taken control back. So look at all of these multiple factors here. I didn't go through all of them, but in the course of, in the respective time here today, I went through 90% of them. Go through seriously and put a line between each one of these, separating one, the owner versus the renter in each one of those, and put where you think you are in that spectrum. Because, man, you deserve to be an owner of your life. Owning a house, owning a car, owning a business, that's all fun and games, man. That's icing on the cake. But owning your life, ooh, that is the cake. That is the most important thing you can do, is fully own your life. So get out there today and begin to tear up the lease agreement and sign the ownership agreement on your life. All right, everyone. Thank you again, man. It was great. And again, we put this one together a little bit last minute, but we had the material and the content, so it was great to be able to talk to you directly again this week. We'll be back next week, and hopefully we'll have Dr. J. Olshansky on next week for you to hear his wisdom, his experience. But get on there. Please do some research on him. Look at the National Geographic documentary, Age of Aging, narrated by Ron Howard. It's really good. It's about 45 minutes long, but it's really interesting. And that was, I think, done in 2015. I can't wait to talk to him next week to hear what we've advanced in the last 8 years already. All right, everybody. Please smash that like button. Give us a rating and review us. And please, by all means, share this episode with 3 people you love or care about. And if you have any questions for me, reach out. In the meantime, get out there and strive, love, and live. I appreciate you all.